Hello, my name is Dettlaff. I am here to do a how-to video on how to beat Dettlaff. He is the final boss of the Witcher 3 Wild Hunt Blood and Wine expansion. This is going to be Death March difficulty, and it is a new game plus. Doing this video mostly for a couple family members and friends who have played Witcher 3 recently, and when they got up to the point where they had to face Dettlaff, it kind of took the wind out of their sails. They weren't expecting the challenge that he gave them. Now, Dettlaff is the kind of enemy where you have to employ some minimum amount of strategy to beat. It's going to take a little bit of practice in timing your dodges and rolls in order to avoid damage. You can't just hack and slash your way to victory here. So hopefully this video will help them and anybody else who may come across it. Go ahead and get started. I go into my inventory menu. Now up to this point, you have probably gone from quest to quest, cutscene to cutscene, without a chance to go to a blacksmith, an armor, stash box, the enchanter, and you're pretty much here with whatever you brought with you several quests ago. Certainly you can beat Dettlaff no matter what you brought with you, but it would definitely help if you have some good armor, and depending on the path you took from the quest Night of the Long Fangs, you either went through the Land of a Thousand Fables to save Syriana, in which case hopefully you grabbed the Toussaint armor from the Fallen Knight by the lake. The Toussaint armor has armor ratings that's pretty comparable to a Grandmaster Witcher set, but it also has a huge vitality bonus, so it's going to give Geralt some extra health, which is definitely going to help keep him alive during the fight. If you went the Unseen Elder route, hopefully you picked up the Hen Gate armor set. It's comparable as well as far as overall armor rating. I think its big advantage is that it has a high monster damage resistance, so that certainly would help here as well. Either way, go ahead and equip what you did bring with you. Now, you should also have some empty slots on either of these armor sets. For this particular strategy, I would suggest just adding as much Quen intensity as possible. Now, I happen to bring several greater glyphs of Quen with me. I knew this fight was coming, and I was prepared for it. The first time I played this game a few years back, on my first run through, I only had 2 or 3 glyphs of Quen, and by the time I figured out a strategy, that's all I had to add to the armor, and it was enough. It's mostly about mastering the rolling and the dodging, reducing the damage Geralt's going to receive, staying out of the way from any of the powerful attacks, and get your shots in when you can. If you can do that much, you will still come out on top in this fight. So as far as a silver sword's concerned, just equip the best silver sword you have with you. Hopefully you picked up Erendite from the Lady of the Lake. I like it for 2 reasons. Number one, it's the only sword in the game that actually increases its base damage as Geralt's level increases and as you use it more often. Now, there is a little mechanic that you have to employ to get that to happen, but I'm not going to explain it here. In simplest terms, it's very powerful, especially if you built it up before you got to this point, and it'll help you maximize the damage on Dettlaff. The other ability it has that's very helpful is the one that says each blow generates charges which increase sword damage by 10%. Charges are lost over time or when receiving damage. A fully charged sword always deals critical damage. What that means is if you can get hits in on Dettlaff without taking damage yourself, it's going to increase your sword damage up to a factor of 10. Now, when you're fighting normal enemies, or even maybe a mini-boss earlier in the game, that could be a difference of doing 2,000 damage compared to 12,000 damage. I've seen it. It's considerable. Now, it won't be that considerable with Dettlaff because he's got a very high damage resistance, but it will still help shorten the fight if you can get that sword charged up while you're fighting him. As far as potions are concerned, I'm going to keep it simple. I'm not going to run any crazy strategy here. Pretty much everybody up to this point has some kind of Thunderbolt, has some kind of Tawny Oil, and has some kind of Swallow. So I would suggest you equip that. Tawny Oil is for stamina regeneration. Thunderbolt is for maximizing your attack power. And White Wrapper's Decoction or Swallow will help you increase your vitality, get some vitality flow back if your health gets low. And this kind of goes without saying, but Dettlaff is a higher vampire. You're going to want to use whatever vampire oil you have. You're going to want to apply it to your sword. I have Superior, which lasts for 60 charges. It should be well enough to get through the fight with. If you have a lesser vampire oil, you may have to jump back into your inventory and recharge your sword with it at some point in the fight. Now we're going to jump to the character menu. Now, a basic strategy against Dettlaff for somebody who's having a difficult time is, again, avoiding damage while dealing damage when you can. And to do that, fast attacks is going to be your best plan. Now, certainly, if you get really good at dodging Dettlaff, knowing when to strike him, you can get your power strikes in. You can even get an occasional rend or whirl in. But just for somebody who's trying to employ a strategy, they're having a tough time staying alive, fast attacks is going to be a way for them to get good practice in and eventually take him down. So I do have the 3 fast attack abilities that really are going to matter in this fight: Muscle Memory, Precise Blows, and Crippling Strikes. I have them applied to my tree. The other big thing is the Fleet-Footed 505. This is huge. This means that when you're dodging and rolling, Geralt should theoretically take no damage. Now that doesn't always work. I've had times where I've taken damage when I was rolling and dodging, but it certainly will help. And this, combined with the use of the Quen Shield, can get you through a lot of tough spots in the game, allow Geralt to get away from Dettlaff, put a little distance between them, hopefully get that Quen Shield back up and continue the fight. As far as signs are concerned, again, we've already talked about it. I'm just going to add all the Quen to my tree. Active Shield, I've tried to employ it a couple different ways. Not as helpful as just using a regular Quen Shield and some good dodging and rolling. So go ahead and apply whatever you have to your tree here. And finally, this little gem here, Gourmet. For those of us on Death March, we all know about Gourmet. It's allows a piece of food to regenerate vitality for 20 minutes instead of just 10 seconds. It's almost OP, probably on earlier levels. It's pretty much a staple in Death March, because when you're running Death March, there's very few ways that your vitality generates. Unlike earlier levels where it's pretty much a given, your vitality is just going to regenerate almost all the time. Now, if you don't have these abilities, you can use a Potion of Clearance. It'll reset your points back to maximum, whatever you've built up at the time, and you can reapply them to try to get some of these traits that I've mentioned. Hopefully you have one of those with you if you've kind of built your character a different way. We're going to jump out of here. Inventory. We're going to use that piece of food that we were talking about earlier that will regenerate Geralt's vitality for 20 minutes. Find one that's 80 of 80. Consume it. Okay, we're good to go. Let's get this party started. So for this first stage, it's pretty basic stuff. You're going to want to put a little bit of distance between yourself and Dettlaff. Make sure your Quen Shield is up. Make sure you hold your block down the whole fight, just in case he ends up surprising you and getting a couple shots in. Hopefully your block will help defend Geralt from any damage. Won't always work, but it's helpful. But when he does this little thing where he jumps at you, disappears, teleports toward you, and then reappears, you're going to want to dodge forward toward him and to the right or left. End result being you end up behind him and you can do one fast attack. Roll back out of the way, repeat, and you'll be able to take him down. Kind of get away from here. I gotta get my Quen Shield up. Tawny Oil's up. Thunderbolt's up. I'm going to try to get some distance between me and him. There you go. So when he jumped at me, I dodged forward and to the side a little bit, got behind him, and got one fast attack. There you go. Quench shield is down. We'll get it back up, just in case he gets a shot in. There we go. There we go. On to the second stage. This is definitely the hardest stage for most people. Dettlaff does a few things here, and depending on what he does, you have to be willing to respond accordingly to get out of his way. Now the first thing he's going to do is he's going to get up in the air, bounce toward me, and I'm going to roll out of the way. Bounce, roll out of the way. So he bounces once, then you roll out of the way. The second thing he does, he's going to throw the bats at me. I got my quench shield up, roll to the side, and avoid the damage. Now sometimes I don't time it perfectly, I still get hit a little bit, but the quench shield helps. And that's when you do your damage. When he jumps into the ground, you wait for him to come back out of the ground, then you roll toward him and get anywhere from maybe 1 to 4 hits in, depending on your timing. I may not avoid this. Yeah. Gotta get my Quen back up. Quen's up. Do some swallow. Bounce. Roll. Ground. Roll back. 2, 3. That's enough. Get out of the way. Quen shield back up. Bounce. Roll out of the way. Now you'll see these red and black pools that he's leaving on the ground when he dives in. You want to make sure you stay away from those. If you get stuck in one of those, it pretty much stuns Geralt for several seconds, which allows Dettlaff to get fatal blows in. So try to avoid those at all costs. Keep your situational awareness up, and just try not to roll toward those pools. And you see my Erendite is fully charged, it's glowing, so I'm maximizing the amount of damage I'm doing. Bounce and roll, bounce and roll. Send the bats, Quen's up, roll out of the way. Bounce, roll out of the way. Alright, now sometimes when he's doing that thing where he jumps in the air, he doesn't come down immediately, so just keep rolling until you're sure that he's come down. You don't want to try to time it perfectly. Roll, roll, roll. When he comes down, roll back in, get a couple shots. Bounce, roll out of the way. Try to get away from these hits here. There we go. Second round complete. So the third round is pretty basic, like the first round. It's not that difficult of a strategy. You're just going to maintain your Quench Shield, you're going to maintain your Thunderbolt and Stamina Regeneration. And you're going to roll around to the edges of the room and hit his hearts. You'll see him here in a second. Try to stay away from Dettlaff himself and just focus on the hearts. He does hit pretty powerful here. You don't want to stand toe-to-toe with him, that's for sure. So, Quench Shield, Thunderbolt, roll away, get your hits in on the heart. Typically, you only get anywhere from 1 to 2 hits on the hearts. Try not to get too many more, or else he's going to make you pay for it, especially on Death March. Quench Shield's up, Thunderbolt's up, Tiny Oil's up. Alright, we're going to try to give you some damage here. 1 hit in. See how quickly he comes in? He doesn't give you a whole lot of time. Got 2 in there. coming in. Alright, blend back up. Now, if you timed it just right, you could probably get a rend in here. You can probably get a couple power strikes in, but I'm just keeping it simple for those people who are new to this battle. Okay, that's why I needed my quench shield, because he cornered me there. So I'm going to get that back up. Pretty simple strategy here. Anybody can do it. Not tough. Maintain a quench shield. Probably a thunderbolt. It's probably almost out. Yeah, it is. So I'm gonna get that back up here in a sec. Chance to do that. And I got it. All right. Quench shield back up. Quench shield's down, so get it back up here. There we go. That tawny oil definitely helps that stamina regeneration. Keep that quench shield up. He's almost done. Whoa, he got me. Get out of the way. Quench shield back up. Try to finish it off here. And there you have it. Stage 3. Now you're gonna be transported back to the original fighting ground. You just got to get a couple more hits in on them. If you do not have your quench shield up at this point, you probably want to put it up because you can still do a lot of damage if he hits you. And there it is. So to recap on the first stage, it's all about keeping your quench shield up and then do that side dodge to the right or to the left. Get behind him when he teleports in front of you, and get that back shot in with the fast attack. Second stage is all about maintaining your quench shield, rolling out of the way when he sends the bats, staying out of the pools of ooze so you don't get stunned. It's pretty much certain death if you do that. And timing your rolls when he jumps into the ground. So keep rolling. When he finally dives into the ground, roll back and get anywhere from 1 to 4 hits depending on your timing. You'll get better at it as you do it. And then the final round is just maintaining your quench shield and getting a few fast attacks in on the hearts while staying away from Dettlaff. Pretty basic stuff. It might take you a little while to get used to the timing, but once you do, you'll be fine, and you'll realize that this is a lot simpler than it looks when you first attempt it. I'm going to let this cutscene finish up. Hopefully it helped out anybody watching, and hopefully you enjoy the rest of the game. Arguably the best RPG ever made.